CISA is rewriting the government's SBOM rules, and your software inventory could suddenly matter a lot more. CISA wants to update the SBOM minimum elements, and that matters to anyone selling software to the US government or running enterprise fleets. This isn't a theoretical guidance note. The changes could redefine what you must record, how you publish an SBOM, and how buyers verify supply chain claims. Prepared vendors will sail through procurement. Unprepared teams will scramble during audits and incidents. Here's what CISA has put on the table next. Think of an SBOM as a nutrition label for software. It lists packages, versions, licenses, and dependencies, so you can answer what's inside, what's vulnerable, and how fast can I respond. That simplicity made SBOMs a national priority after supply chain incidents. But the toy model, generate one file and call it done, doesn't scale for continuous builds and cloud pipelines. Creating a list is necessary, but it's only the first step toward operational security. Quick timeline. EO 14028 in 2021 pushed software supply chain security forward. That year, NTIA published the first SBOM minimum elements. In 2022, OMB's M2218 added procurement expectations and hinted CISA would build the successor guidance. Now in 2025, CISA is proposing updates that reflect 4 years of practice and tools. This is the arc from policy experiment to baseline requirement, and the rules will reflect how the ecosystem actually works today. The big pivot is less about generating SBOMs and more about sharing, analyzing, and managing them at scale. Tooling matured. Generators live in CI. Repositories version and index SBOMs, and analyzers map SBOMs to CVEs. The proposed update acknowledges these capabilities and asks for standards that support automated ingestion and correlation. If your team still emails JSON files, you're in for a reality check. Modern SBOM practices expect APIs and reproducible provenance, which changes workflows dramatically. One critical area is scope and granularity. CISA is likely to require stronger component IDs like package URL, CPE, or SWID where relevant. It will clarify how deep to enumerate transitive dependencies and when to include optional or dev-only packages. Metadata hygiene, consistent supplier names, exact versions, and license fields will also be emphasized. Precision matters because ambiguous records break automation and slow incident response. That detail will force builders to tighten their pipelines, but there's more to watch. Format and versioning changes are next. Expect continued support for SPDX and CycloneDX with clearer field mappings to reduce translation loss. CISA may set expectations for SBOM refresh cadence, for example, on each build or material change, and tie SBOMs to commits and releases. Stale SBOMs are dangerous. Linking an SBOM to a build ID or signature gives traceability. That will force teams to rethink CI pipelines, storage, and versioning practices in concrete ways. Distribution and quality controls will get attention too. CISA is balancing transparency with confidentiality. Public downloads, gated portals, and SBOM on request are all on the table. Expect minimum quality checks like schema validation, deduplication, and provenance attestations linked to pipelines. VEX integration could become standard so vendors can state whether a CVE is exploitable in their product. Those requirements change how vendors publish SBOMs and how buyers consume them in practice. Automation and APIs will be the backbone of this update. CISA will likely recommend machine-readable endpoints, signed SBOM artifacts, and tooling that connects SBOMs to ticketing and CMDBs. Alignments to NIST SSDF and provenance frameworks like SLSA will be encouraged, so SBOMs reflect how code was built. Real story. Teams that automated SBOM generation and signing cut ingestion time by orders of magnitude. If you still hand off files manually, plan a modernization sprint, because automation becomes mandatory for scale. What this means for stakeholders varies. Vendors should standardize on SPDX or CycloneDX, sign SBOMs, and publish VEX statements where possible. Agencies must publish intake formats and automate validation workflows. Open source maintainers will be asked to bundle SBOMs with releases and accept lightweight CIPRs. Security leaders need SBOM metrics in risk models: coverage, time to ingest, and mean time to remediate. Each group faces concrete process changes, and all of them can influence the final text, but how do you weigh in? Actionable next steps: inventory products that need SBOMs. Pick SPDX or CycloneDX. Automate generation in CI. Sign SBOMs and stand up a repository or API. Prepare VEX practice and document a sharing policy, public, gated, or request only. If you want to shape the rules, comment to CISA. Be specific, provide data, propose draft language, and explain constraints for your constituency. Do this now to turn operational pain points into workable policy, and you'll actually change how procurement visits your team. If this helped you plan, like and subscribe for more policy to practice guides. Comment with your role and one SBOM pain point you want us to cover.